ABC, this is World News Tonight. Reporting from Washington, Peter Jennings.
Good evening. They have done it again. In the Portuguese capital of Lisbon this morning, terrorists believed to be Armenians went after yet another Turkish target. Gunmen shot their way into the Turkish embassy. This time the gunmen didn't have long to live. In Lisbon, here's ABC's Jim Hickey.
Specially trained Portuguese anti-terrorist police surrounded the residence of the Turkish embassy here in Lisbon, engulfed in flames from a bomb exploded by the Armenian terrorists inside. Police said shortly before 11 o'clock this morning, 5 gunmen drove up to the embassy compound in these cars and began firing with automatic weapons. One of the gunmen was killed apparently when embassy guards returned the fire. The others broke into the residence, taking the wife of the charge d'affaires, her son, and an embassy policeman hostage. In a telephone message to the Associated Press, the terrorists threatened to blow up the building, saying they would remain under its ruins as a sacrifice to the altar of freedom, leading to speculation this was a suicide mission. A half an hour later, a huge explosion tore through the building, blowing out windows and setting the fire. The elite anti-terrorist police, wearing hoods and camouflage, then stormed the building, their first action since being formed last fall. They threw stun grenades and fired into the building. But inside, the terrorists were already dead from the explosion, their charred bodies buried amid the rubble, along with the body of the policeman. The wife of the charge d'affaires also died in the attack. The son was wounded. Tonight, the Turkish embassy residence is a burned-out shell. Portuguese police are now standing guard here, and as a precaution, special police protection has also been given to the French and British embassies in another part of town. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Lisbon.
If you were looking for two groups always interested in weapons, you would not be wrong if you chose the Irish Republican Army and the revolutionary government in Iran. Today, federal agents in New York City say they've uncovered 2 conspiracies to supply those groups with more than $2 billion worth of helicopters, tanks, and other weapons. 8 men have been arrested. Authorities won't say if they believe the men would have been able to fill the multi-billion-dollar order. And now Central America. In the wake of all the president's answers on U.S. policy in the region at his news conference last night, the principal domestic forum for debating those positions is now on Capitol Hill. As ABC's Charles Gibson reports, about all the president's critics have to go with is talk.
It was no coincidence the president's news conference last night came on the eve of the House debate on whether to cut off covert aid to the anti-Sandinista guerrillas in Nicaragua. Mr. Reagan anticipated attack on his policy of supporting those rebels, and attacked it was.
It has not stopped the flow of arms. It has not forced changes in Nicaraguan policies.
It has enabled the Sandinistas to justify and legitimize their repression within Nicaragua.
In El Salvador, we stand foursquarely against those who are armed and financed from abroad and who would shoot their way into power. In Nicaragua, we stand foursquarely with such forces, and we, in effect, are financiers of anarchy.
But the president's supporters simply argued Mr. Reagan has to contain communism in Nicaragua.
If we don't go to the source, we're going to have to save country after country after country down there, and it's just not going to work.
Secretary of State Schultz came to the Capitol to try and reassure senators of the administration's intent in Central America. Later, some Democrats complained they're simply being informed of U.S. actions and not consulted. Essentially, that's the problem in the House as well. For all their rhetoric, the president's opponents simply don't have the votes to stop him. A cutoff in covert aid to Nicaraguan rebels, even if it passes the House, won't pass the Senate. So the Democrats' only real weapon is words. The House debate that will continue tomorrow is more for political effect than practical consequences. Charles Gibson, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
And while the House continues to debate the subject of aid to the anti-Sandinistas in Nicaragua, the administration goes on preparing for the upcoming military exercises in the region. As Rick Inderfirth explains, the plan calls for more than the usual amount of activity.
President Reagan sought to portray current and planned U.S. military exercises in the region as business as usual.
Well, within this year, last spring, we had military maneuvers in Honduras. And last year, we had naval maneuvers in the Caribbean. And no one seemed to be excited about them at all.
But Pentagon officials acknowledge that these latest exercises are different. The arrival of 2 aircraft carrier battle groups, plus the battleship New Jersey, off the east and west coasts of Central America is a first. Rarely are carriers diverted from their main areas of responsibility. And the warships will have an additional training task to practice techniques associated with stopping vessels on the high seas, training that would be crucial if President Reagan decides at a later date to impose a naval quarantine around Nicaragua. Special Navy teams will also be training Honduran sailors in the capture of small boats, like those the Pentagon says are being used to run guns to the El Salvadoran guerrillas. And there's something new about the planned U.S.-Honduran ground exercises. For the first time, U.S. combat forces will be involved. In the past, only military support personnel took part. The number of U.S. military personnel will more than triple, and the length of time the amphibious and other exercises will run has stretched from a couple of weeks to several months. The U.S. also plans to upgrade 2 Honduran airfields to accommodate larger aircraft and may construct a port facility in the north. All of these activities, the training and the bases, could be used to support an expanded U.S. military presence in the region should efforts to find a political solution fail. Rick Inderfirth, ABC News, the Pentagon.
As these military exercises are underway, there is ample evidence to suggest that our neighbors to the south are determined to make their own voices heard in determining their fate. ABC's Dennis Trout reports from Tegucigalpa in Honduras.
Latin Americans clearly are worried, so much that a regional brand of shuttle diplomacy is underway here now, bringing the presidents of Panama and Colombia, first to El Salvador, then to Honduras. Their efforts are part of the Contadora Peace Initiative, begun last January, which presses for an end to all foreign military involvement in Central America. A full-scale Contadora meeting is scheduled for tomorrow in Panama. Costa Rica has set the public tone of expectation for that session, saying that progress for the initiative is long overdue. But faith in negotiations is not high in an area which has witnessed only a greater military buildup for the past year, and where there's a lingering suspicion that Latin America is little more than a pawn in the East-West power struggle. El Salvador still is the focal point of all this regional turmoil, and U.S. officials still say privately that country's fate will be decided on the battlefield. So Latin Americans are inclined to say that they must take up the cause of negotiating peace if others are willing only to negotiate victory. Dennis Trout, ABC News, Tegucigalpa.
And now the Middle East. At Birzeit University on the occupied West Bank, Israeli soldiers used tear gas and gunfire to control rock-throwing Palestinian students. 2 students were wounded by bullets, 2 others were injured. The protest was against yesterday's killing of 3 Palestinians at the Arab University in Hebron. Palestinians have blamed militant Jewish settlers. Hebron, called Al-Khalil by the Arabs, as John Donovan explains tonight, is a West Bank cauldron of trouble for both Palestinians and Jews.
Hebron didn't look like anybody's town today. A curfew ordered by the Israelis kept Palestinians off the streets. The Israelis call it peacekeeping, the Palestinians call it punishment. On a day when Hebron has no curfew, a rare day of late, it's easy to see in this one town all the ingredients for the larger Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Hebron is sacred to the Jews and also to the Muslims. For behind these walls is the tomb of Abraham, father to both peoples. Jews and Arabs had lived together here for centuries until 70 Jews were massacred in 1929. But since 1967, the Jews have returned.
This is where Judaism began, the whole story. This is where we began our existence as a people.
Some of Hebron's Israeli settlers have reoccupied the old Jewish neighborhood in the center of town. Relations between the settlers and the Arabs are dismal.
Anytime they want, they can kill us, they can hurt us, and we cannot do anything.
To Palestinians, the guns that settlers carry in self-defense are a symbol of a double standard. Arabs aren't issued guns. They feel unprotected by the Israeli army, harshly treated by Israeli law. And with the government encouraging further Jewish settlement, the Palestinians feel that Israel simply wants them to leave, a position the Israeli government has never, in fact, embraced. The situation is discouraging to those Israelis and Palestinians who still await the day when both sides can live together. Yesterday's attack postponed that day even further, for by now there's just been too much blood from both sides lost to the soil of this sacred town. John Donovan, ABC News, in Hebron on the West Bank.
Later in this broadcast, accusations the government has not done enough to protect the public from possibly dangerous automobile transmissions. An armistice remembered in Korea. And another lone sailor tries to make a unique crossing of the Pacific.
This is World News Tonight, brought to you by Efferdent.
He asked the Rockesees if they thought their denture cleanser could clean away cherry stain.
I believe it could.
What about cherry and coffee?
Maybe.
Or a triple stain of cherry, coffee, and even tough tobacco?
I don't think it would clean it.
Then watch Extra Strength Efferdent work on a triple stain of cherry, coffee, and even tough tobacco with Efferdent's powerful Blue Action formula.
The stain is gone. It cleaned in between.
We are going to switch to Efferdent.
Extra Strength Efferdent removes even stubborn stains between teeth.
Oh, Miss Jones, 50 please, fast. Oh, I meant 50 of these reduced.
Good thing there's the Canon NP500AF, the fastback. Fast is 50 copies a minute. Feeds automatically. Reduces.
Reduced? I meant enlarged.
Canon Fastback enlarges. Collates. Copies in black or brown.
Black? I wanted brown.
Canon 500AF, the fastback. To get your copies back, fast. For information, call toll-free.
On Wall Street, after 6 straight days on the upside, stocks closed lower. World News Tonight will continue.
No matter which of these stomach remedies you take, it's not meant for gas pain and pressure symptoms. Gas X is. We'll prove Gas X tablets break up painful gas bubbles fast. Watch. Intestinal gas bubbles are much like bubbles in beer. Add one of those stomach remedies here, Gas X here. 1 minute later, stomach remedy shows little change. But Gas X breaks the gas bubbles. They're almost gone. For fast relief, get Gas X, the 100% gas reliever.
When you need a laxative, who do you trust?
In this job, X-Lax. It works when I want it to.
And who do you trust for gentle relief? Who?
X-Lax.
X-Lax pills help get your body's natural rhythm going again. Your own system takes over to provide gentle relief overnight.
For my family, it's always X-Lax. I'm not about to try anything else. It's our family friend.
X-Lax helps your body help itself.
That's right. Helps your body help itself.
Max Robinson is off tonight. Beginning in January, you're going to pay more to use the telephone. It is not altogether easy to explain why, but it has to do with the breakup of the Bell telephone system ordered by the courts. Now the Federal Communications Commission has approved a new charge for all telephone users. In other words, when you reach out to touch someone, your local phone company is going to put a bigger touch on you. Here's ABC's Sheila Cast.
For years, the rates customers have paid for long-distance calls also have covered the cost of local lines connecting customers to the national network. AT&T sends back billions of dollars in subsidies to local phone companies, providing an important source of revenue that holds down local rates. When AT&T and its local phone companies split apart next January, all that will change. Customers will start paying local companies a flat access charge for those connecting lines, starting at $2 a month next year, growing perhaps to $6 a month in 1990. But they'll pay AT&T lower charges for each minute of long-distance time. Just how much lower is still undecided. Critics say without the subsidy, local rates will rise too high.
As the rates go up and up and up, you just can't say that no matter what the rates are, everybody will have phones. Some people can't afford it.
Regulators have okayed the new access charge. Now Congress will debate whether it should take effect. It's likely to please customers who make lots of long-distance calls and give a monthly shock to those who make none. Sheila Cast, ABC News, Washington.
And on the subject of money, the Senate today approved the nomination of Paul Volcker to head the Federal Reserve for another 4 years. 47,000 Chrysler workers in the U.S. will not be getting an immediate pay raise. Talks broke off this afternoon between Chrysler and the United Auto Workers. The union had argued that Chrysler is now economically better off because of their sacrifices, that workers deserved at least $1 an hour more now. They'll meet again at contract time in January. The Ford Motor Company announced today its profits for the second quarter of this year totaled $542 million. That's the best quarterly showing for Ford since 1979. And now a Ford story which is not so glowing. According to congressional investigators, Fords sold between 1970 and 79 have now been involved in something like 8,000 accidents, which those investigators say are the result of faulty transmissions. Well, now turning back on the government, those same investigators say the Department of Transportation hasn't done enough to ensure that owners of those cars are aware of the danger. Here's ABC's Bill Greenwood.
Tests have shown the Ford transmissions can slip into reverse even though the driver thinks he's placed it into park. Such runaway cars have killed 232 people and injured 3,000 others, including Henry Lewis.
The car slipped into reverse, I guess, and ran me right back through the doors. It broke my leg, sprained my wrist.
Congressional investigators were told that in 1980, federal highway officials wanted to recall the Ford cars in question. But former Administrator Joan Claybrook said President Carter had been defeated, and there was fear the incoming Reagan administration would not prosecute the case. So officials accepted an agreement from Ford to send out warning letters and safety stickers. But Ford officials insist the problem is not their transmission, that motorists don't always engage the lever properly. Chairman Wirth wondered why Ford then modified its transmission.
We made a change in our effort to see if there was anything we could do to make the customer perceive better whether the transmission is in park or not.
Still, congressmen say the design change won't help the owners of Fords manufactured in the 70s. And highway safety officials have been ordered to get their enforcement operation in gear or face a head-on collision with Congress. Bill Greenwood, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
The Justice Department said today there is insufficient evidence to bring criminal charges against 3 congressmen accused of using cocaine and marijuana. They are Ronald Dellums of California, Charles Wilson of Texas, and former Congressman Barry Goldwater, Jr. of California. The federal investigation began more than a year ago.
Good morning.
What's that, blueberry muffins?
Oh, you're a bear today. Here, have some shed spread.
Okay.
It's got a rich, buttery taste.
Yeah?
And you know, shed spread has a third less calories than butter or margarine, and no cholesterol. Oh, the bear just turned into a pussycat.
Oops.
Butterfingers.
You mean shed spread fingers.
Look out, Butter. Here comes Shed Spread. Great taste, a third less calories, no cholesterol. In sticks, bowls, and the country crock.
You know, you're a great cook.
Are you buttering me up?
I'm shed spreading you up.
I liked you better as a grouch.
You got it.
Some paints have tried to prove their quality by painting balloons. Some have even painted houses that breathe. But since 1872, Glidden has been proving and improving its quality on a place far more important, your home. And now Glidden's finest house paint is on sale for only $11.99, the same low price as last year. Glidden, we keep our promises in the can.
The American dollar continues strong, reaching record highs today against several European currencies. World News Tonight will continue.
Excuse me, I'm supposed to be on that ship.
When do we leave?
Immediately.
Wait, passenger.
Oh, I thought I'd lost you too. Did you find them?
No.
Is everything okay?
No, we lost our traveler's checks.
When things look bad, American Express looks good. What kind were they?
American Express.
Relax. There's an American Express office in Nassau. We dock there tomorrow.
American Express has nearly 1,000 travel service offices to help you. Don't leave home without them.
Ma'am, what's that cereal you're enjoying?
Well, it has delicious apple slices and cinnamon, and they call it fruit and, I forget.
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal. It tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
The name? With all these apples, it's got to be apple something. Or fruit something.
Fruit and Fiber tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Sure, it's fruit and...
Fruit and Fiber, also with dates, raisins, and walnuts. It tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
In other news from overseas, another of those revealing looks inside the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union has just announced some limited experiments in badly needed economic reform. Beginning in January, managers in selected industries will get more control over production, and there will be a chance for worker incentives. But as ABC's Bob Zelnick reports from Moscow, the real root of the problem remains untouched.
When ABC News recently visited this truck assembly plant in Soviet Georgia, we found far more workers than were needed to perform the assigned tasks, while many appeared to be on a perpetual cigarette break. In nearby Armenia, the cognac was world-class, but the same could not be said for the bottling facility or for the measuring device which was supposed to put the same amount of cognac in each bottle. Soviet propaganda portrays determined workers committed to fulfilling party production plans. The myth is drowned by the reality of third-rate products, timid managers, and shoddy work. An emerging consensus among Soviet economists points to other culprits. One is the choking Soviet bureaucracy, a bureaucracy which sets production levels, establishes product specifications, fixes prices, and markets the finished products. Also, the Soviet guarantee of full employment, a guarantee which translates into job security regardless of performance. And a basic confusion even as to what constitutes successful management. In the West, it's profit. In the Soviet Union, the rewards may be based on the number of workers employed or the gross value of what is produced. The Central Committee experiment represents an attempt by Yuri Andropov and the Politburo to restore some of the incentives the existing Soviet system removed. Industrial managers are promised more of a voice in determining what and how much to produce and in distributing bonus money among their workers. Profit will be the key test of industrial performance, and extra bonus money will be paid to plants competing successfully in the international marketplace. The twin pillars of the Soviet economic system are centralized Communist Party control and a labor force upon which few demands are made. The new Andropov reforms are grafted onto this system. They do not change it in any fundamental way. Bob Zelnick, ABC News, Moscow.
And now an anniversary which will mean a lot to a lot of Americans. Back on this day in 1953, after almost 2 years of negotiations, an armistice was finally agreed between North and South Korea. The United States had put 1.5 million men into that war zone, and 30 years after the war officially ended, some things have changed, some have not. Here's ABC's Jim Laurie.
30 years after the war's end finds 20-year-old Martin Say of Georgia manning this mortar position on the edge of the DMZ. Say is one of 40,000 U.S. troops in Korea, some 800 of them patrolling here along the border zone, acting, as one diplomat put it, as a tripwire to ensure that America goes to war if the North Koreans pour across the 38th parallel, as they did in the summer of 1950. 3 years of war took 33,000 American lives and many more Korean. 2 years of protracted negotiation led to this signing of an armistice. Today, few believe that war will break out again. The U.S.-backed South Korean forces are stronger, as are those of North Korea. But Moscow and Peking, North Korea's backers in the war, no longer seem to want a showdown here.
So the DMZ today is quiet. But after 30 years, it is still only an armed truce. There has been no progress in dealing with the causes of the war here. It is still a divided Korea, and no headway in improving relations between the North and the South.
One legacy of the war begs dramatically for some North-South reconciliation. The war tore Korean families apart, 10 million people separated from other family members. On this anniversary, more than 100,000 of them have plastered the main TV station in Seoul with posters advertising for lost loved ones. The display prompted by a unique and now weekly TV program which broadcasts faces and their stories, so far resulting in 3,000 highly emotional reunions like these. Most, however, will not find their loved ones. Many are dead, still others in North Korea, and the North so far has refused to help in this reunification effort. That may be a reason why many here don't really find much to celebrate in this 30th anniversary of the Korean armistice. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Seoul.
No, I'm single, really.
Really?
Really.
Hey, Jack, who's your friend, eh? Who's the old choppers, eh?
I've got to do something about those loose spots.
Fixodent helps fix loose spots. Fixodent spreads evenly, filling tiny gaps between dentures and gum with ingredients that give added dimension to holding.
Here comes your friend.
No problem now. And neither are my loose spots.
Hi, Jack. How's the wife, huh? Just kidding. Just kidding.
Today's Fixodent helps fix loose spots.
Say, these food bars are really tasty. I didn't know Amway makes food products.
Amway offers over 350 different nutrition, personal care, home care, and houseware products. They're more than just a soap company.
Well, how come you know so much about Amway?
I have my own Amway business.
You mean you're leaving me?
No, my husband and I are building financial independence as part-time Amway distributors.
5 minutes, Mr. Hope. Is that opportunity knocking?
Discover today's Amway. Better than ever.
Tonight on Nightline, the '84 Summer Olympics. Will Los Angeles be ready for them just 1 year from tomorrow? We'll discuss health, housing, transportation, and above all, security.
Before things get devilishly hot again this summer, take it from Dave Lennox. He'll show you what a blessing upgrading to a Lennox air conditioner can be. Lennox makes some of the world's most efficient air conditioners, including one that can cut your home cooling costs by up to 48%. So when the heat's on this summer, don't get hot under the collar. Get a Lennox. Attaboy, Dave. Call your independent Lennox dealer. He's in the yellow pages.
Why do you insist on Preparation H?
Preparation H does help me get a good night's sleep. If I didn't have my Preparation H at those times when I have the flare-ups, the burning, the itching, I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Doctor-recommended Preparation H often gives temporary relief from pain and itch flare-ups, even helps shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues.
When I wake up, I feel fine. I'm ready to start the day without the pain and discomfort of hemorrhoids.
Preparation H relieves pain and itch, even helps shrink swelling.
A horizon, we are told, is nothing save the limit of our sight. Well, Hank Decker today set sail from San Francisco on a 25-foot sloop bound for Hawaii. As ABC's Ken Kashiwahara tells us, Decker refuses to acknowledge any limits to his personal horizon.
48-year-old Hank Decker was out on his 25-foot sailboat early this morning, getting ready for his solo voyage to Hawaii, getting ready to prove a point. Hank Decker is legally blind, struck down by glaucoma 5 years ago. He has only 2% vision, can see movement 18 inches away, and at night can make out some lights. He is sailing alone and blind to Hawaii, he says, to prove that the handicapped do not have to be disabled.
And this should show to the world that disabled people can do more damn things than sit around and collect welfare checks. And also should show handicapped people that, damn it, that we have to do things ourselves.
Decker learned to sail only 3 years ago, yet is confident he will become the first blind person to sail alone from San Francisco to Hawaii.
Yeah, you take it easy. Yeah, I will. Take care. I'll call you from Hawaii, huh?
And with that, Decker was off, first towed out of the harbor.
Adios, Hank!
Then onto San Francisco Bay. Decker's boat is equipped with special navigational equipment, Braille charts, a Braille compass, and a talking device that tells him where he is.
Hello, Captain. Where are we going? Self-test completed. System operation is normal.
Decker says he will be in Hawaii in about 3 weeks and dismisses potential dangers, a broken mast, malfunctioning navigational equipment, bad weather. For alone and blind though he may be, Hank Decker has a vision.
I can't fail. If I fail, it's just going to make things worse for our visually impaired people. Well, I told you he couldn't do it.
Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, San Francisco.
And one final note. If you have been to the movie Return of the Jedi, there is a good chance you will remember this fellow. Nien Nunb was his name. But did you know what he was saying?
We've got to be able to get some kind of reading on that shield, up or down.
Intergalactic gobbledygook, right? Wrong. As someone discovered when the film opened in East Africa, Nien Nunb is speaking fluent Kikuyu, the language of Kenya's majority tribe. He's not saying much, I'm afraid, just, "What are you doing over there? All of you please come here." When the Kenyan audience heard it for the first time, Nien Nunb apparently brought down the house. That's our report on world news tonight. For everyone at ABC News, I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
Premiering tonight, The Hamptons on ABC.